In everyday life, we sometimes hear a question that seems simple, yet carries many hidden assumptions. The teacher has a wife too. It is often asked with surprise, sometimes even with a hint of doubt in the minds of many. The image of a monastic has long been associated with a life of renunciation. Leaving home, cutting off attachments, and stepping away from worldly relationships. So when people hear that a teacher once had a family, or is living a family life, it can feel contrary to what they have always imagined. Yet if we pause and look more deeply at religious history and human spiritual traditions, we will see that this is not unusual at all. Rather, it reflects the richness of spiritual life and the adaptability of religions across different cultural and historical contexts. Often it is our own preconceived ideas that narrow our vision, leading us to judge too quickly when we encounter something unfamiliar. Throughout history, in many of the world's major religions, religious leaders and clergy have lived family lives in early Christianity. Many priests, even those of high rank, had wives and children. The requirement of celibacy developed gradually over centuries and tended to help clergy devote themselves fully to their spiritual mission. This shows that religious disciplines evolve over time. They were not always as they appear today. In Buddhism, this truth is even clearer before his renunciation. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, lived as a prince with a family. He had a devoted wife, Yasodhara, and a son, Rahula. This was not a flaw in his path to enlightenment. Rather, it deepened the meaning of his renunciation. From a life of wealth, love, and power, he chose to leave everything behind in search of liberation for himself and all beings. During the Buddha's time, many great disciples had also lived family lives before ordaining Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana. Two of the Buddha's foremost disciples had lived as householders in society before encountering the Dharma and choosing the monastic path. Another example is Venerable Mahakāśyapa, one of the most revered elders before ordaining. He had a wife, Bhaddakapalani. Remarkably, both husband and wife chose together to renounce worldly life and pursue the spiritual path. Their story stands as a beautiful symbol of shared spiritual aspiration, choosing liberation over attachment. Buddhist scriptures also record cases where monastics, due to personal conditions, returned to lay life. One often mentioned figure is Channa, the charioteer who once served Prince Siddhartha. Though he later joined the Sangha, his strong worldly tendencies made practice difficult. Some traditions recount periods when he returned to lay life before continuing his path. The Vinaya also acknowledges that during the Buddha's time, some monks disrobed when they were not yet ready. The Sangha did not force anyone to remain ordained if their mind was not stable. Those who recognized lingering worldly attachments could return to lay life and continue practicing the Dharma in everyday living. This reflects the humane and flexible spirit of Buddhism. Practice is rooted in sincerity and personal truth. Therefore, if we hastily judge a teacher simply because they have had a family or returned to family life, we may be seeing through too narrow a lens. What matters most is not a person's past, but their present intention and the path they are walking. In Buddhism and many other traditions, there is also a recognized and honest path. A monastic returning to lay life and then forming a family, while monastics vow to live a celibate life. Not everyone has the conditions or strength to sustain that path for a lifetime. Recognizing one's reality and returning to lay life before forming a family is considered upright and in harmony with the spirit of discipline. It is not condemned. A layperson who lives ethically, cultivates goodness, and maintains respect for the Dharma continues walking a wholesome path from the humanistic perspective of Buddhism. Whether one is monastic or lay is simply a different form of practice. What matters is awareness and integrity. In many religions, clergy having families is entirely normal. In Islam, imams often have families. In Protestant Christianity, pastors commonly marry and raise families, which can even deepen their understanding of their communities. In Judaism, rabbis typically have spouses and children while serving as spiritual leaders. These examples show that whether clergy are celibate or married depends on tradition and discipline. It is not the sole measure of spiritual virtue. In traditional Buddhist cultures such as Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka, celibate monastic life is considered an ideal path for focused practice and teaching. However, Buddhism is vast and diverse as it spread. It adapted to local cultures, giving rise to different traditions. In Japan, for example, many Buddhist schools allow priests to marry in Zen, Pure Land, and Nichiren traditions. Teachers may have families while continuing their spiritual work. In Tibetan Buddhism, certain lineages also permit married lamas. Vietnamese Buddhist history also reflects diversity. Some figures lived family lives before or after their monastic path. In the north, Tuet Trung Thurung Si was a deeply realized lay practitioner with a family, yet revered as a great Zen master. In the central region, figures like Tum Min Leding Tam served Buddhism as lay leaders with families. In the south, Master Minjang Quang, the founder of the Kutsi tradition, had a family before ordaining, later dedicating his life entirely to the Dharma. These examples show that the path of practice unfolds according to individual conditions and causes, not merely outward form. Differences like these should not lead to confusion or debate. The essence of the Dharma does not lie in appearances, but in the awakening of the mind. A person wearing monastic robes may not have let go of afflictions, while a person living in the world may still walk deeply in the path. With right understanding, we learn to see with wisdom and openness. Traditions arise within specific contexts. What is appropriate in one place may differ in another. Imposing a single standard on all traditions often leads to misunderstanding. A true teacher is not measured by whether they have a family, but by their virtue, compassion, and wisdom. A person living family life who guides others towards goodness is worthy of respect. Conversely, one who appears monastic but is attached to gain and status cannot hide inner unrest. From the beginning, Buddhism teaches that all things arise from conditions, so too does each person's path. Some are suited to monastic life, others to practice within the world. So when hearing the question, the teacher has a wife too, instead of judging, we can smile and reflect more deeply. It is not just about one person, but a reminder of the limits of our own understanding. A practitioner should maintain a balanced mind, neither blindly idolizing nor hastily rejecting. We should not impose our own standards on others, but instead listen, learn, and see with both wisdom and compassion. Ultimately, the path is not found in outward form, but in the transformation of the mind. A true practitioner is one who turns inward, reduces greed, anger, and delusion, and brings peace to life. When wisdom is illuminated within, all prejudices dissolve like morning mist under the sun. Then we realize that the path is not the robe we wear, but the quiet light of awareness shining from within.